Welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. Have you received an email recently from a friend or maybe even your boss asking for a small favor? Well, it may not really be your friend or your boss after all.
Yes, scammers are posing as people you may know, and they're asking for a little help. And of course, how can you refuse your boss or a good friend when they turn to you for some support? But be very careful.
Today, we are talking with Ken Colburn. He's been in the computer industry for decades, and he's a specialist in technology and computer scams. He's going to explain how the Do Me a Favor scam works and how you can avoid getting conned.
This is On Your Side with Susan Campbell and Gary Harper, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Okay, welcome to the On Your Side podcast. I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell.
Wow, it's cold today.
It's a little chilly.
It's like chilly and windy.
But it's supposed to climb to 76 by tomorrow, so I think we're going to be fine.
Oh, is that right? 76? Yeah. I can take that now.
It's not bad.
And this is February. People came all the way down for the Super Bowl. I'm sure they, went back with, or going back with a lot of Arizona in their hearts.
I hope so. We want to attract everybody to the area. Tell them how great it is.
Well,
we know it's great.
We know it's great. Do we need more people moving here?
I'm okay with it for my property value.
Well, that's true. That's true. Listen, today we're talking about a scam that's ARP, which represents people 50 and older. Unfortunately, I'm in that category. Does that mean I'm old?
No, you're not even close to old, Gary. Come on.
I'm not a senior citizen.
No way.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think 50 is the new 40, right?
Yeah, or maybe the new 30.
I hope so.
Yeah. How old are you?
Let me do the math real fast.
Uh-huh. I think she's
37.
37.
I'm 37.
All right.
You know you're not supposed to ask a woman their age, right?
I know, but
massive faux pas here on the On Your Side podcast.
That was a mistake. I'm
but
sorry.
I answered honestly.
You did. All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm 55. So,
okay. Oh yeah, you're a youngin'.
I can get that subscription to ARP now. So, but listen, we're talking about ARP and we're talking about scam, and I bring ARP into the picture because they recently indicated that there's been a surge in what they're calling do me a favor scam.
Okay.
So would you ever do me a favor if I said do me a favor?
Sure.
And it came in an email?
I might be a little more skeptical if it comes in an email, but
Yes.
my gut reaction would be, let me help Gary out.
Well, I appreciate that, but you have to be careful because there's people out there posing. There could be out there people out there posing as me, and you're thinking it's me. So that's what we're talking about. Do me a favor scan. We're talking to Ken Colburn. He's with Data Doctors, and your history goes way back with computer technology. So you know all about this, Ken. How are you today?
Good. And in fact, to very clearly articulate this is the resurgence of this particular scam because we saw this pretty prolifically in 2019 as well.
No, I totally remember this, and you're right. It's not a new scam because this has been around for years, but I guess it kind of went away. But there's been a resurgence. For people who don't know what the Do Me a Favor scam is, can you explain it?
Yeah, so what they're doing is they're preying on folks. A lot of people tend to ask, well, what's the big deal if my Facebook account gets hacked and somebody's able to use it or whatever? That's a common one where they'll take over your Facebook account and then they'll start texting or direct messaging your friends. So instead of using email, which can be a little random, they're going to use social media to go, hey, can you do me a favor? And what they're pretending to do is, hey, I'm out of town and I forgot somebody's birthday. Could you do me a favor and just run to the store and buy this particular gift card? And when you get it, just take a picture of it, take a picture of the information so that I can reimburse you, so that I can send this to my relative that I forgot their birthday. It all sounds pretty, okay, sure, I'll do you a favor. $100, $200. Seen it go as high as like a boss directing a fake boss directing an employee to go to the Apple store to get a $1,200 gift card.
Why do they insist on gift cards?
Well, they're easy to purchase. They're pretty much everywhere these days. And the big thing is it's virtually impossible to trace when somebody uses it. And virtually impossible to get your money back if you will fall victim.
Once you reveal the code on the back and that you send the picture, I mean, that's as good as giving them cash.
It's gone.
It's gone. You can't get it back.
Well, there's two different types of gift cards. There's the set amount gift cards that don't have any kind of secondary security or a PIN that's required to use it. So literally, if they just get the gift card number, they're good to go. In fact, there's a rampant bot system out there that will try go to these gift card sites where you can check to see how much you have left on your gift card. They use these same sites to just randomly guess numbers, 40 million a time, 40 million different credit cards at a time gift cards to see if they're active and if they have a balance. And depending upon the card, that's all they need to be able to start using it.
Wow.
The more secure cards have a separate activation, a PIN, a little code on the back that you also have to put in to use, which is why this Do Me a Favor scam asks you to scratch that code. There's usually like a lottery kind of covering for the PIN. They scratch that off and send that to me so that I can have my relative use the card, and then I'll reimburse you.
And it feels believable, and it doesn't feel maybe as much of a scam when you are talking about $25, $50. Do me a favor. I want to send some gas money to my niece or nephew, right? Like that's where they can get you because it doesn't feel so out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's asking me for $3,000, I'm going, no.
Right.
If you know anything about me, you know that's not possible, right? But if you're asking me for $25 to help pay for X,
Right.
Y, or Z, something little,
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the $25, but I think the average, when it's all said and done, after you do everything, it's usually around $500 is the average, and it goes high, like you indicated, Ken. So you really have to be careful. And it's not just Facebook or any other social media. I mean, they'll go right for the jugular and email you directly.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, so they'll either take over a legitimate person's email account, because that's just easy money at that point. Or they'll send, let's say it's GaryHarper@gmail.com. They'll put in two R's, Garry, Harper, right? So it's just one letter off. But if you're not looking closely, you don't notice it. And so you think, oh, that's Gary. And so even if you say, Gary, is this you? And you reply back to that email, you're replying to the scammer. And
Right.
He's going to go, of course it's me.
Of course. Hey.
So the thing to do when you get an email or any kind of a message from a friend saying, hey, do me a favor, because they all always, can I ask you a favor? Going to common thing, right? Don't ever respond through that same communication portal. Typically, the best thing to do is pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I just got this from Facebook Messenger. Is this real? All right, I just got this email. So you want to verify the message through a completely separate communication channel.
So I got an email from what is supposed to be one of our meteorologists here at the station.
I think I got the same one.
From April.
Oh, I didn't get that one. I got a different one.
This is from April Warnicki, one of our meteorologists for KPHO and KTVK. And April, a.k.a. the scammer.
April in quotes.
April in quotes writes me, and you'll love this, Ken. Hello, I need you to perform a quick task for me. Are you available? First of all, I know April doesn't talk like that. She's not going to say perform a task for me.
It's very formal.
It's just, not correct. Anyway, so red bells, all the red alerts go off, and I'm like, so I responded and I said, sure, what do you need? The scammer responds, oh, thanks. Can you let me know if you can purchase some gift cards today at the store? Do get back to me. Again, she would not say, do get back with me as soon as you can.
But this guy thought you were on the hook.
Yeah. Well, I love baiting these guys. Just keep them going.
How many times did you go back and forth?
Oh, I went. Well, he eventually figured out. I went back and forth like a dozen times. And then he realized, I don't think this is
not going to pay off in the end.
I'm wasting my time.
What was the last thing that you said to him that kind of sealed the deal on the conversation?
Well, I said, sure, what are the gift cards for? Because I wanted to see what he said. And he writes back and says, thanks, it's very urgent. You can use the company card or the petty cash if it's enough. Like, I have access to all that stuff. I need your help with the purchase. I'm looking to surprise some of the staff with Apple iTunes cards, but I want to keep it on the down low pending what they get. So therefore, I need you to purchase Apple iTunes cards of $100 face value, and I need 10 of them. So the scammer wants me to go out and spend $1,000, and I'm thinking if I'm not, if I don't have my, my thinking cap on, I'm going to go out and I'm like, well, these are going to be spent on
my colleagues,
Susan Campbell and
right.
our photographer, Todd. This is a good thing. I'm going to go out and spend the money. And then what happens? I go out and spend the money, and then I find out it's not April.
Yeah.
By the way, why is April buying $1,000 for the, for her staff?
Well, and I think that's
coworkers.
So obviously the scammer made a misstep in this case, right? Because it doesn't make sense. April's not one of the managers here, but if it was coming from a manager, maybe in a bigger corporation, you can understand how somebody would fall for it.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who's always doing the favor or running the errand for a manager, and then they just get another one.
Right. I mean,
it makes sense.
There are certain people in our building that are in charge of buying gift cards and stuff like that, and I get that for like holiday parties or whatever, but April's not doing that.
Right.
I mean, she's checking the weather and doing the weather.
So you knew right away.
Yeah, I knew right away. And here's the other thing, Ken, you brought up a really good point about how they kind of want to make their email address look like, the real email address. They may be like one letter off, but this guy was a real dope. He put his real email on here. It starts with Michael, and I'm not going to say his last name if that's even really his last name, at gmail.com. And, if you look at that, I just saw April, and I was kind of excited. Oh, April's writing me. But, I didn't even look at that. And then later on, I looked, I go, oh, it's from some scammer named Michael. Oh,
come on, Michael.
How dare you, Michael? But this goes on all the time, though, right?
To Susan's point. Yeah, but to Susan's point, that's a less sophisticated person that's doing this. The more sophisticated folks will actually spend a few minutes on LinkedIn to figure out who's where, who the hierarchy is in your organization, and then come off as somebody very important that, and to a subordinate that, I'm not going to question authority. And so that's the kind of thing that's going to go on. But yeah, if you just pay attention to the email address itself, usually you can figure that out. Second, to your point, Gary, that's not how April talks, right? It's like I'm on holiday, right? Which is something that they say in Europe,
right?
Because a lot of these scammers are Eastern European, countries. So I mean, if you pay attention to it and don't take the person's interaction with you at face value, that's the key. But again, when in doubt, don't respond. Pick up the phone, call them, and say, "Hey, what is this?"
So this warning came from AARP, like saying, there's been this resurgence. But is it actually our senior citizens falling for this more often than other groups of people, or is this kind of all across the board?
Statistically, we're actually seeing more fraud as a percentage, just overall, with people in the 40-plus age group. I think the scammers have figured out people on fixed incomes are not necessarily going to have as much money as somebody that's maybe actively working. Again, these are very sophisticated crime rings. These are not people just doing this for laughs. It's multi-billion-dollar industry. And so we talked about the resurgence. The reason that it kind of went away for a while is because stuff like this. We warn the public and say, hey, don't fall for this. And they say, okay, well, we got to switch our tactics until people forget about this, and you see it's about 2 to 3 years. Chances are people forgot. You got a whole new group of people, maybe that never heard it in the first place. So, they do recycle their scams, especially the ones that work. This one works.
Hey, is that a reason why it kind of like dipped and kind of went away because people were onto it? And I think you probably just said that. I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about it, and now it's kind of brought its ugly head up again. So I guess that's how it works. It's up and down, right? And now it's up.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. If you're a business person, you have these different marketing tactics, right? The ones that work, you don't want to keep doing it over and over again. You want to change it up a little bit, right? But you always keep the ones that work in your back pocket and go, okay, let's try this again down the road. In the case of the scammers, I mean, AARP's out there. So, everybody across the country, lots of folks are talking about this. So This is going to die down here probably for a while, but it's not going to go away. So this is one of those permanent remember things, because gift cards are just a great vehicle for scammers to use, not just for this, for any number of things. They use it to try to pretend like you're going to get your house repossessed if you don't pay this immediate fee, or an IRS bill, or there's so many different ways where they go, okay, you can take care of this problem right now today by going and getting a gift card.
You brought up a really good point earlier about the scammers do a lot of research because they want to see at that company who is on the higher, up on the ladder there. A couple of years ago, I did a story on a young lady. She just got hired at this company. She was excited, and she got an email from the boss / human resource director, and she wanted to have some gift cards to hand out to the staff, and she was new. She looked down the phone. She didn't really pay attention. Looking on your phone, you don't look at every little detail. She bought the $1,500 cards. She brought them back and handed them to the boss / HR director, and she's like, "What is this?" She goes, "You told me to buy these." And she's like, "No, I didn't. You've been scammed."
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's just a sinking feeling.
Yeah, it's terrible. What do you do?
I was going to say, the good news is if you simply fall for it and go buy the gift card, but then you don't send the information back, you're stuck with the gift cards, or maybe you can get a refund. But as long as you haven't given the information to the bad guys, then they can't use it. So just being tricked into buying them is not going to put you in any kind of jeopardy. But the minute you give that information up,
you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, Ken, if people want to know more about you or the company, just go ahead and throw some email addresses, some websites, and some social media platforms.
Real ones, please.
Yes, real ones.
Yeah, datadoctors.com is our corporate website. But, that radio show we used to do for 18 years on KTAR, we kind of moved that over to our Facebook page, to where when you have any kind of technology question, just ask. We try to monitor that and try to answer people's questions through our Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/datadoctors.
Okay, sounds good. Hey, Ken, can you do me a favor? Can you come back on the On Your Side podcast again if we ask you?
Absolutely. There's so many scams and so many things to talk about, the whole proliferating the AI world.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about technology. There's never a dull moment, thank goodness.
Well, listen, if I send you an email and it says, "Do me a favor," it's going to be a scam. It's not me, okay?
Unless the favor is the podcast.
Can you come on my podcast?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you notice, when I sent that email recently to you, I didn't say, "Hey, do me a favor." I need you on our podcast. But hey, listen, Ken, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
My pleasure. Anytime.
The On Your Side podcast is produced by Brad Denny. Our audio engineer and editor is Todd Martin. Segment producer is Colin Stanton, and I'm Gary Harper.
And I'm Susan Campbell. If you have a problem you can't resolve, maybe we can. Send us a message through azfamily.com or our AZ Family mobile app. Look for the On Your Side section and leave us a message. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Side podcast. And if you like it, leave us a review. We'll see you next week.
On Your Side is on Good Morning Arizona every weekday morning at 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and every weekday evening on Good Evening Arizona at 4 and 5 o'clock. You can also catch it on Arizona's Family News at 9 on 3TV every weeknight.